being part of the process. I want to thank you for COSPAL support. Thank you for your LMI support. Thank you for your support during and your participation in the climate change tour. The feedback was given. Mr. President himself is aware the role you played and how much you supported Yusuf Kilani and his team. So I want to thank you for that. Well, you asked what can UNDP do to support Nigeria, and it's a good question. Where do you begin to answer that? Because it's a lot. But what I believe is that it's all one global village now. Everybody needs everybody. With the relationship, you're in 170 something countries, you said, but the relationship is basically symbiotic. Each country needs the other, and we live in one big global village. So I think, yeah, in terms of support, Nigeria needs your assistance in so many areas. But you're already doing it. You're already doing it. You're supporting the reforms of Mr. President in so many different ways, which you have listed. Do we scale it up? Is the point you try to make in terms of scaling? Yes, of course. I mean, the support will never be enough. So we will need to work together. You and government, represented by this office, and some of the ministries that which you have touched upon. And we will be more than happy to sit with you, look at your proposals, inject whatever we need to inject, and see how it can align. And in most cases it will, how we can perfect its alignment with the reforms of Mr. President. You've talked about, for instance, Made in Nigeria, which again is part of the reforms Mr. President has tried to bring into this administration. Some people call it Nigeria First. I don't like to use that phrase because of its obvious abuse. But yes, it is something that we're passionate about. It's important to us. Prior to now, we had what we call the local content in the oil industry, for instance. This is a much wider theme, Nigeria First, and the consequences of that. If we can practicalize it and make it work, it reverberates along from the whole value chain and all that comes with it, employment and development of the economy and all of that. So we'll want some sort of proposal from you and what we can do or how you can assist, because you know the depth of you know more than anybody else your capacity, your capabilities. I don't want to sit here and say, okay, in terms of Nigeria First, UNDP, can you do this? Can you do that? Let's see what you can do, and then we can also work together to achieve results. Because we don't want, and Mr. President certainly doesn't want this to be, doesn't want us to pay lip service to this. We've said it, he's throwing it out there, he's very serious about it, he's very passionate about it. How do we practicalize it? There have been ideas, do we legislate it, or is it enough just to pronounce it and to give it effect? So these are areas I think we can work together. On. I'm not sure if you touched on or if the area of gender participation in governance and politics. That's on the front burner in Nigeria, and it has been on the front burner for quite a while. The question is that Nigeria is a country of diverse interests, diverse backgrounds, diverse cultural and religious backgrounds, and how do we blend and marry all those things to achieve some of the things that have been achieved in places like Rwanda and other countries like that. without offending sensibilities, offending other people's culture and religion. There has to be a balance somewhere that we can strike. Because you're in 170-something countries, you will have enough, a bird's eye view of what obtains in other places in terms of gender participation and in politics and governance. So maybe that experience and that know-how can be brought to bear on that issue. You've covered, like I said, so many areas: energy transition, small-scale industries. I think the area of education is also somewhere an area. I'm not sure how, I mean, you did talk about in the universities and what you're doing in certain areas there, but I think that's education for me in terms of development. Your development programs, I think education should be perhaps for me the most important, because it's the foundation of everything else. There's a popular saying that you can build something on nothing. If the masses are not educated, then it's going to affect the development of Nigeria in so many ways, and it has its unintended consequences, maybe even intended, in terms of poverty, in terms of crime, in terms of so many things that can be an offshoot of an uneducated society. So that to me has always been priority for Mr. President as well. So we will need to work with you on that, especially in the areas of skills acquisition, because not everybody is able to go through formal education, but yeah, skills acquisition. And in the area of agriculture, we've talked about diversification of our economy, our economic base, which is principally oil. But we've talked about diversification. Nigeria is blessed with so many. You alluded to the issue of critical minerals, and there's almost no mineral you will find in Nigeria. So we're blessed, but how do we harness these blessings? How do we tap into this God-given natural resources? It's major. Where if we really want to take Nigeria to where it ought to be, we talk about a lot. We talk a lot about the potential of Nigeria, but we need to stop talking about Nigeria's potential. We need to actually harness Nigeria's potential and put the country where it's supposed to be. This area of agriculture, for instance, we have arable land, we have vast potential in the agri area, but agriculture has moved. Agriculture has moved from what it used to be to with the advent of technology. Agriculture is technology driven now. So that these are areas, I think Nigeria, and with the cooperation and working together with UNDP, can, step up, however you want to describe it. You have a very strong team in this office that we'll work with. It's unfortunate that you're leaving us in a matter of a couple of months. It will be our loss. But I'm sure, well, I mean, you're moving to another position, I guess.
Not yet.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought I understood you to have said. Okay, great. So you're not going anywhere.
No.
That's the bottom line. Good.
Citizenship as well from Nigeria.
Good. Yes, and you touched on the accelerated community development that you described as ACD, and the eradication of poverty. I've always believed that poverty anywhere in the world cannot be eradicated. That's just the way of the world, but it can be greatly reduced, and that's what I think we're looking at as a country, because the consequences of poverty are far-reaching. Some people have ascribed even the issue of terror to its roots is from economic deprivation. So there are consequences that go with mass poverty, so we need to reduce that. And then education, which I talked about, is part of what we need to work on to reduce mass poverty. We have a solid minerals ministry that is up and doing right now. It was more or less that ministry was more or less, I'm not going to use the word moribund, but it wasn't doing much prior to now. But we have a minister who's in charge now and who's doing a lot to revamp that ministry. But there's a lot still to be done. And we will also need your cooperation in that area. Meeting with His Excellency, I would be more than happy to see how we can facilitate that and accelerate that. If we get a formal request from you, formal written request, which we will try and process and work on, because you are very, very critical. You are very, very essential to our development as a country. Like I said, we need to have that handshake. For if you're in 170-something countries, definitely we're not going to stand alone as an island and watch others around us develop, and we'll just be giants of Africa to the clay feet. We need you. We need you. We all need each other. Thank you once again for the visit. And once we get your proposals and what you think, then we'll dot the I's and cross the T's, and we'll work together. Thank you very much.
Persons in this country, so we are very humbled, and I'm personally humbled by the opportunity. I also am here as a daughter of the soil. I know we've met in different circles, but it's just proper that I come and greet you properly and extend my sincere appreciation to you and to the government of Nigeria. Having been here now for 2 years, it's just been home, and you've granted us everything we need to make our work very easy and to support you and to support the reform. So I'm here to thank you and to thank the government for all the support that we have also received. Let me also use the opportunity to appreciate your leadership on a number of fronts. Recently, I got the opportunity to join you and a team in Morocco and the COSPAL, which you birthed. And that is something that was very important and key. So thank you for that leadership. It was indeed one of the areas where we can advance the development imperatives for Africa, and we don't take that lightly. So thank you for birthing this world-class initiative in Africa, for Africa as well. Thank you as well, I think, with the recent colleagues as well together. We have the climate change tour. Climate change remains one of the most compelling development challenges of all times, and lending your voice and lending the government's voice and His Excellency's voice is something that we don't take for granted. So thank you also for that. And recently also the inspiration to support young people, especially those in the legislature, through the legislative mentoring initiative, again, that you birthed. These are things, again, that inspires and continue to inspire. So thank you. So we are here to also appreciate you. But Excellency, as a daughter of the soil, I've always told my team we must do development with our eyes open. And particularly in times like this, in times when the world is going through great shifts and uncertainties, whether it's in technology, whether it's on the geopolitics linked with mining, whether it's on youth and transformation and all that, how do we continue to position Nigeria as a leader, as an anchor in Africa, but also to ensure that, as a giant of Africa, truly, we can support Nigeria's development aspirations. So I'm here also to reflect with you and to hear from you what are some of the things that we can do as the largest development agency in the United Nations family, and by extension the United Nations as well. What can we do to support and to strengthen your hands? Thank you for the reforms that His Excellency is leading, because it's provided inspiration for all of us. Reforms, whether it's of a fiscal nature, whether it's of a governance nature in the energy sector with the new Electricity Act that is being rolled out, that is giving us a lot of inspiration, and that is, of course, advancing the development agenda of our great country. but how do we continue to support the reforms and land them in a way that is truly aligned with the vision that His Excellency the President and yourselves have. So we are also here to think through with you what more can we do to support the reforms. At UNDP, and of course I speak in that capacity now, we have tried very hard to realign our work, shifting from a project-based approach to how do we accompany governments in a much more systematic way and structured way over a long period of time. And in that regard, there are about 3 areas of work that we've continued to fix our eyes on, and there are more that we think can be done, but again, to have your thoughts around some of the things that we are doing and areas that you think that we could support and strengthen your hands a lot more. The first thing that we have been working on, and we feel that perhaps some deeper investments collectively with government would be quite important, is something that you have birthed called Made in Nigeria. Made in Nigeria for us is not just a slogan. Made in Nigeria for us is about creation of jobs. Made in Nigeria for us is economic competitiveness. Made in Nigeria for us is trade. Made in Nigeria for us is innovation. And so we have reflected on that, and we feel that that's an area that we can try to bring in home in the context of the reforms. Now, what exactly does it mean to make something in Nigeria? We feel there are a couple of entry points that are important for us, and we are beginning to fix our eyes on them, and we feel that's something that we can go into scale on. Certainly for us to create jobs, we are looking at, for example, the university spaces. 2 million of our graduates come out of universities still looking for jobs to do, because in the universities, we've not inspired them to create opportunities for themselves. We are establishing what we are calling university ports, places that, like your university innovation hubs, where you can go to a space and turn your idea into a prototype. You turn your prototype into a business. You can turn your business into an industry. That's how we create jobs, and that's how we do Made in Nigeria. And so I think by the end of this month, we would have done about 8 of them. But there's so many of them that needs to be re-engineered, where a young person can go in there and be able to say, I have something, I want to test it. And they always say there is no Silicon Valley without a Stanford. In other words, the university provides a hub and the impetus for that. So we are beginning to look into some of these spaces, whether it's in university, whether it's in communities, whether it's small and medium-scale enterprises, where, how do we create clusters where we can be able to export our goods, economic competitiveness. Some of these spaces we've seen, for example, there are assets in the country, but they are not just optimized. Just even putting some solar there, energy, talking about energy transition, we talked, we take Idu just here. We went to Smedan, we said, you have all these machines there. Government has invested in these machines, but nothing is working. We said, what do you need? We need energy. We just had to put a solar, and that's it. Now you can see creativity, people who have never been able to have, continuous electricity are able to sow, and so on and so forth. So we are trying to unpack what this vision of Made in Nigeria is, and to try to see what spaces can we try to help out. And of course, as UNDP, and by extension the UN, we are not a donor. What is important is the technical capacity that we bring to these conversations. What is important is the best practices that we bring to this conversation, because we are in 170 countries and territories. So you can be able to see what is India doing, what's Brazil doing, what's Vietnam doing, what others are doing that we can bring to bear. And I think we've shown proof of concept that things can work, whether it's in the university spaces, the community spaces, the SME spaces, and many other things that we are doing. But then how do we go to scale on that? And I think the vision that His Excellency has, including the Renewed Hope Ward Development System, gives us the room as well to be able to do more of these things practically. And so we're happy to share our thoughts and our initial thinking. We have some reflections around. We had shared with a few of the ministers our initial thinking around that, and clearly one of them said, this is something that His Excellency must spearhead, and and we feel we'll share that proposal with you. It's not to give us money; it's just the thinking around what we could collectively do to land a vision that is around Made in Nigeria. So that's the first point I wanted to raise. The second point I wanted to raise, Your Excellency, is our work around what we are calling our Integrated Smart States Program. And it's not a project. What we are trying to do is how do we help states to land the reforms that the government is advancing? Because in the past, what we have done, we were all kind of project facilitators. We go into a state, we just go a small little project here, donor gives you money and we check out. That has not moved the needle on development, and we have not moved the dial on development. 60 years down the line, I also speak as an African sister, our governments still have not been able to develop fully. And therefore, we are asking ourselves, how do we accompany development in a different way? That we don't just go and do small things, but we think speed, we think skill, we think agility, and be able to accompany that. And so what we are now working on is just working with a number of state governors who have, states who have expressed interest in working with us, and to fix our eyes on a few things that are very important. We're fixing our eyes, for example, on the energy question. We have seen hospitals that have equipment bought by a government that have been lying there for the last 6 years, 70 years, investment into millions of dollars because there's no power. And we're asking ourselves, and what can we do? So energy transition doesn't just become something like a cliche. Energy transition then becomes something we can learn. So we then said, okay, let's send our engineers, let's send our energy experts, let's get in there, let's have an energy audit, let's say, what do you need to solarize this? Because we can't talk poverty eradication when children die because an incubator is not working because there's no power. That's the practicality of things. And so we are fixing our eyes on some of the areas where the reform that His Excellency is pushing can be landed. And that is where we are bringing our expertise as well. And I don't want to go into the details because it's not a technical conversation at this stage. I think climate change, like I said earlier, it's one of those, it's very much connected to the energy question as well, that we need to fix our eyes on, that we don't just do little projects here and there, but we ask ourselves, if we're talking about climate smart agriculture, what does actually mean? When we're talking climate-induced insecurity or climate security, what do we mean? Because people are now fighting over resources because there's no more water there. And therefore, we are dealing with an insecurity question, but the driver of that insecurity is actually climate change. And so we are beginning to fix our eyes then on some of these verticals that we feel is quite important to land. And recently, I had a chat with my colleague Muiwa and said, look, the blue economy we've not even touched at all. Again, that's something that we feel we can have conversation on. So energy is becoming a great one for us. Trade is becoming a very important one for us at the level of the state because Africa has 1.4 billion people. We are importing things that we should be producing. And how do we import substitutes practically? Because it's very important for us to fix our eyes there. So at the state level, on energy, on trade, one of the things that we are beginning to also discuss with the governors and the states is what we are calling accelerated community development. That's very much tied to the Renewed Hope WAT development system. For us to be able to move the dial and the vision that His Excellency has around development, around poverty eradication, around ensuring that money is not only, money is in the pocket of people, how do we get back again? And it's part of the reform that the government is pushing around local government and empowering them to do more. How do we ensure that development can be accelerated at the community level? So the ACD is something that we feel we can be able to work together on. A number of countries in Africa also are working with us, DRC, Congo, and others to say, work with us to help accelerate our community development. Finally, in the interest of time, the third area and the final area that I feel I'm personally very passionate and I feel perhaps the leadership of the presidency would be very key is on our critical minerals and our mining sector as a whole. As it relates to financing for development and as it relates to governance of things, why am I saying this? I was just telling colleagues there, yesterday I bought a piece of stone, gemstone. Perhaps may have cost $5,000 or $10,000, but it was being sold very cheaply on the streets of Abuja. And many of these we see every day, our lithium as well. How do we leverage the assets we have that we don't have resource hemorrhage that is happening because the government is not getting what it's supposed to get from its own minerals and assets when it comes to critical minerals and precious stones and others. And I feel that's an area that needs to be, attention needs to be paid on. Ghana recently established a gold board, as you may know. By just establishing that and taking control of the gold sector, they were able to mobilize $10 billion in just 1 year. They paid off their Eurobonds. This is an area that I think we could look into. So let me conclude, because I know that we are pressed for time, is to say that we are open for business. We are here because of you. We are not here for ourselves. We are supposed to accompany member states, and therefore areas that you think this were just snapshots of things that we've been doing that we can work together on. But ultimately, like I said, the shift is before us, and where we can be able to assess government development financing to be able to support your vision, we are able to do that. So I think if you have some time, I'll be happy to have one-on-one with you, but also hopefully if I can get to meet HE during my time here before I leave, that'll be something that I'll be very happy about. So once again, thank you very much for the audience.
Sometimes she has one or two things when it comes to gender.
International organizations, has that affected the work of UNDP in any significant way?
Ourselves, our staff members have, lost their jobs, including here in Nigeria. I think some of our sister agencies have been much more affected.
I think and where we will find you, your work.
Yes. Yes. It's good to have you.
Also to make it much more effective and efficient. Because if you're going to depend on somebody,
Now, do you have anything to add? Even though I've spoken here. Anybody else? I'm back.
Don't you think a more targeted, focused approach will generate?
what we are emphasizing is now that we have
Yeah.
things, young people that we are supporting, tea from Mambila.
Lovely.
These are all local.
Lovely.
It's made in Nigeria.
Beautiful bag.
Yes.
Lovely colors.
Made in Nigeria.
Yes. Made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria,
There you go.
everything.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.